Hey, welcome everybody. We're here for another winter webinar series. My name is Jeff Glover. I'm from Detroit, Michigan. For our first timers on, and I know we've got a lot of first timers every single time we do one of these sessions, do us a favor, put down in the chat if you're a first timer, raise your hand, let us know what city and state you're from, if this is the very first time you've ever been on anything. And while you're doing that, let me give you a quick tip. In the chat, it automatically, for some reason, automatically defaults to send your message to the panelists, which means we would receive your message privately. Now, obviously, when we're doing this session, we don't have a chance to check all those messages, so make sure you change it to everyone. So if you're going to be using the chat feature today, which we hope you do, welcome, welcome. Virginia's in the house. Awesome. Kentucky, we love seeing where everyone's coming from. We're my Canadian friends. I know we've always got a lot of great Canadians in there. Florida, man, we'd love to have your weather right now. Do us a favor, make sure you're changing it to everyone in the chat because it's defaults to send it to all panelists. So when you're writing a message, it sends it to us. Nobody gets to see it. So make sure you're clicking everyone and not just all panelists. Again, my name is Jeff Glover from Detroit, Michigan. I've been listing and selling real estate now. This May will be my 20th year in the business. Believe it or not, 20 years. That's right. And for those that aren't familiar, Glover U is a broker agnostic training and coaching organization, meaning we have agents from Independence, from Remax, from Keller Williams, from Century 21, from Coldwell Banker, from EXP, from Real, from you name it. We've got agents that are in all of our programs, and we love being able to pour into and help others grow. That's our passion. That's what we're here for. For those of you that are not familiar with myself, I've been listing and selling real estate now for 20 years, and I'm still on the ground with you. That's right. I'm still taking anywhere from 75 to 100 listings taken per month. Per month. That'd be a great month, right? Right, Justin? 75 to 100 listings per year. And I'm on the ground selling anywhere from 80 to 90, 95 sales just last year. And our team here in Michigan is doing just under 1,000 sales a year. So why do I share that with you? Not to impress you, but to help you understand that the difference between us and probably everyone else that you hear from today, you know, on social media, you sell 6 homes and you can put all these little letters after your name because you're a CEO, entrepreneur, public speaker, trainer extraordinaire. We actually live it and breathe it every single day. So we're on the ground with you. We know exactly what you're dealing with. And I know Justin is the same as well, which we'll get into his stuff in just a second. So today's topic, work smarter, not harder. This is an important one because this one deals all with versatility. This one deals with understanding who you're communicating with. The example I give all the time from the stage is I have 4 different listing presentations. That's right. I have 4 different listing presentations. Now the script doesn't change, but the style in which I present changes for each one of those. And you're going to find out today why that's important, number one, and how you can modify your presentation to adapt to more clients and lead to more sales. And why we say work smarter, not harder. What I love about today's topic is it's not necessarily about making more calls or going on more appointments. Today's conversation is all about helping you become more effective with what you're already doing. Now, don't get me wrong, and I believe Justin would second this. We love if you want to make more calls. We love if you want to go on more appointments. But that's not what today's about. Today is all about helping you convert more of those calls, convert more of those appointments. And that's why we titled this Work Smarter and Not Harder. Okay, do me a favor. Everyone should have a workbook. If you don't, I know they're going to throw that in the chat. You can get that printed really quickly. Please go ahead and do so. If not, if you're taking notes on a Word document or somewhere else, that's fine too, but let's make sure you've got your workbook printed. I know that those were sent out to everyone that registered. If you just registered last minute, then chances are you did not get the workbook. So they're going to throw that in the chat so you can open that up on your screen and get that printed off. Inside the workbook, I want everyone to do me a favor. For those of you that have that printed, there it is. There's the workbook in the chat. I want everyone to do me a favor and turn to page 4 in the workbook. On page 4 in the workbook, it has all of the free resources that we share with the public, meaning our script book, our daily messages, our magazine, everything that we offer to you that's free is listed right here. Now, I'm not going to share with you how to access each one. You're all adults. You know how to access those. You can read instructions. But what I do want you to do right now is do me a favor, turn to page 6 in your workbook. I just want to touch base on 2 or 3 of what I believe are the most important resources. So page 6 in your workbook, it looks like this, just a page with blank lines. So turn to a page with blank lines. Again, if you're keeping track in a Word document or something on your computer, go ahead and write these down. The first thing I want you to write down is the word morning. Morning, M-O-R-N-I-N-G, morning. If you are a subscriber to our daily text message, do me a favor, throw a 777 down in the chat. I want to see who subscribes to our daily text message. Go ahead and throw 777 down in the chat if you already subscribe to that. It is a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday text message that goes out to probably, I think we've got over 5,000 producers from around the US. Don't worry, Canada, we're working on a solution for you. We know it doesn't work in Canada yet, but Monday through Friday, I write a daily message of something that's relating to the real estate business. Sometimes it's, hey, I went on an appointment this weekend. Here's what happened. Here's how I handled it. Sometimes it's, hey, we just shared something on social media and we're getting a lot of responses and we're getting a lot of results. Let me share with you what we shared that's getting responses and getting results. It's informative, it's inspirational, it's knowledgeable. Anyways, if you want to subscribe to that, for those of you that didn't type a 777 in the chat, it's completely free. You text the word morning to the number 55444. So go ahead and write down the number 55444. If you don't already subscribe. For those of you that subscribe, please bear with us while we share this with everyone. It's simple to do. I'm going to show you how to do it right now. The phone number 55444. Go ahead and take out your cell phone, type in 55444, just like that. It's only 5 digits, but somehow it works. And in the body of the message, you're going to type morning, MORNING, morning. In the bottom of the message, you're going to hit send. And it's going to automatically subscribe you to that. There's no spam there. We use email for that. No, there's no spam. It's Monday through Friday, something relating to the real estate industry. And you can unsubscribe at any time. If you don't like what I have to say, feel free to reply with stop and you'll be removed from that. That's one of the more important resources I wanted to share with you today. The second resource, which most of you should be familiar with, and that's the Glover U Inner Circle. The reason why I'm going to repeat this one over and over and over again is because we still get probably on a weekly basis, whenever we announce, hey, we're coming to this city, we're going to this city, we're going to do a half-day session here, we're going to do a half-day session there. Almost every week, I get a call, an email, or a text from a broker or a lead agent in one of those markets that says, hey, I didn't know you were coming to Sioux Falls. Hey, I didn't know you were coming to Boise. Hey, I didn't know you were in LA. We post all of the cities that we're going to because we go to over 100 stops a year right now. We post them all in the Glover U Inner Circle Facebook group. So do me a favor while you have your cell phone in your hand still, or if you set it down, go ahead and open up your Facebook app. Click on the magnifying glass on the top right-hand corner. There's a little magnifying glass right next to the messages. And just type Glover, Glover, space the letter U, space Inner Circle. Should come right up once you start typing Inner Circle. Glover U Inner Circle. It's a free Facebook group. Everyone should be in there. Anytime we have something new going on, we drop it in there. So make sure you get into that group. Now, when you go to join the group, it's going to ask you if you'd like to subscribe to our quarterly publication. That's what this is. This is actually an older version, but this is the quarterly publication. We send out 35,000 copies of these to top producers across North America. So if you want to subscribe to this, make sure when it asks you for your information, don't give your email address, give your mailing address, because this is a physical printed copy that gets sent out. Again, quarterly, we send out 35,000 of these to top producers around North America. All right, let's talk about the main event. Working smarter, not harder. Personality styles, communication styles. I know this is something that I learned a long time ago. This is something that Justin and I worked on together. For those that aren't familiar with Justin, he started off as essentially a rookie, using the phones as an inside sales associate, a licensed agent on our team. He became our top prospector without question. I don't think there's been another person that has walked through these doors that set as many appointments as Justin has as it relates to the phones. He then went on to win Rookie of the Year, selling over 100 homes in his first year, all through scripts and dialogues and the phones and mastering now, and more recently, mastering communication styles, which is something we worked on for a long time, Justin, and I know you're aware of that. He went on to leading our inside sales team, actually teaching our other new agents how to prospect, how to get results on the phones, how to adapt to other personality styles. And it is my pleasure to introduce to you Justin, who is still selling 100 plus homes a year and has a great team around him helping him do that, but is also a master of the scripts, the dialogues, the prospecting, and communication, which is so crucial, because I know you kind of learned the hard way, which you're going to share with us a little bit, kind of how you got introduced, or at least your experience with communication styles. Because Justin, as you know, a lot of people think it's just, hey, here's the scripts, go role play it with someone. Well, all I got to do is write out scripts, Jeff said. No, there's a whole nother layer to that. And this is the next layer. So Justin Ford, without further ado, take it away, sir.
Thanks so much, Jeff. Appreciate it. Hey, everybody. Super excited that each one of you have decided to spend an hour of your morning with us. Like Jeff said, guys, versatility and really understanding and learning these 4 communication styles will literally separate you from your competition and give you literally an unfair edge when you're going into appointments and when you're communicating with people. And I remember back when first starting with Jeff back in 2013, I was hungry, I was excited, I was motivated, and I had no clue what the 4 personality styles were. And I found myself going on appointments, and many of you can probably relate, where I would go into an appointment and just hit it off with someone. It was like I knew them, it was like we had known each other forever. We spent time talking and I got the listing. And then there were times where I'd meet with the client and just felt like awkward. There was no connection and I didn't get the listing. And I remember walking into Jeff's office one time, and what's cool is with Glover U, we teach this on a regular basis, but before there was Glover U, Jeff was already teaching this to all of us, his agents, but it was, Jeff, as you know, we weren't learning like versatility and the 4 communication styles regularly. You did everything in sessions. You'd learn about the listing presentation, the buyer presentation, and so on and so on. And so I remember when that part of the training came around, when you began to tell me about these 4 personality styles, I got super excited. And when I finally took my personality style, learned what my personality style was through the DISC test, everything made sense, right? Everything made sense. And guys, what I'm going to share with you today transformed my business. When I learned how to effectively communicate with the other people that weren't like me, because what you'll learn today is there's 4 main communication styles, there's 4 main personality styles, and you're one of the 4. Now, we all have different aspects of the other 3, but each one of us dominate and lead in one of the major personality styles. And so when I learned how to effectively communicate with the other 3, my conversion ratio went up. I began to take more listings, and I really got excited because I knew that I had an unfair advantage that most people don't know that caused me to take more listings. So we're going to dive into that today. So everybody, if you've got your notebook and your workbook in front of you, what I want you guys to do is I want you guys to flip open to the where it says the work smarter, not harder. And I want you to just real quick, I want you to skip over that graph. We're going to come back to that graph where you see those 4 corners. And what I want you guys to do is I want you to have your notes available, because I want to tell you guys what versatility is. Okay, before we get into the 4 personality styles, we have to have an understanding of what versatility is. Okay. And so for those of you guys on this call who may not be familiar, a DISC test is really a personality assessment that essentially breaks down into 4 categories, which we're going to talk about in a moment. And these 4 categories, guys, are not good, bad, right, or wrong, simply the way each one of us are wired. We were all created and wired a certain way. And why is what we're going to share with you today important? Well, it's very important because as soon as you can understand what the DISC personality someone is, then we can learn how to speak their language. And this is not only effective when you're talking to just people in life, but super effective in sales. Why? Because again, we all have one dominant personality style. And when you don't know what the other 4 are, you're always going to show up speaking your language. And you're going to try to relate to every single person that you talk to the way you know how to communicate, right? And the problem with that is we're going to lose a lot of opportunities. But in the world of real estate, guys, what it means is we're missing out on a lot of sales and a lot of contracts being signed. So why is this important? Okay, why is this important? Because what we're going to talk about today is going to teach you guys how to improve your conversion ratio. So what I want to do is I want to, again, talk about communication and versatility for a second. So if you're taking notes, I want you to write this down. Okay. Each one of us, right, or humans in general, begin to develop communication styles as early as 9 months, okay, as early as 9 months. And what happens is we end up developing who we aren't and how we communicate by the time we're 19, okay? As you age, you generally become more versatile, because a lot of times what we find ourselves doing is, especially as teenagers, trying to, fit in with this group or that group, or try to become maybe what we're not when we don't really understand who we are from a personality standpoint. Now, write this down as well. It's our ability to adapt quickly that will cause our business to grow. It's our ability to adapt quickly that will cause our ability and our business to grow, meaning the better we learn to get with versatility, the more chance we have of doing more deals because of it. And so for those of you guys that are not familiar what versatility is, the definition of it is the ability to adapt or be adapted to different functions or activities or personality styles. It means the ability to adapt, okay? The ability to adapt, okay? Now, write this one down too. We have to understand and appreciate that if we simply hope that the people around us adapt to what we're saying and the way that we're communicating, we have to accept the fact that we are likely turning a lot of people off, okay? We're likely turning a lot of people off. And this is why early on, before learning this, I was turning a lot of people off. Somebody asked me in the chat, Jeff, what is my personality style? Well, I'm not gonna tell you yet. And when I share all four with you guys, I want you to tell me which personality style you think I am, okay? Because Jeff knew right off the bat when I started working with him, he knew exactly what type of personality style I was, okay?
And by the way, that's not like I have a keen sense or, you know, I was born with an extra sense that nobody else has. It's through learning about this and studying it and being aware of it with every single person you talk with and talk to and meet with.
Yeah, period. And guys, this is something that you learn. It's not, like Jeff said, it's not something that you just know before you learn it, okay? All right, I wrote this down as well, okay? Now watch this. Everyone communicates differently, and we need to accept the fact that our way, like I said earlier, only accounts for roughly 25% of the people, okay? So how do we learn this? Our mindset should be adapt to them based on who they are, not who we are, okay? And again, what's great is, guys, this works for any type of relationship. When I learned this communication style, it allowed me to communicate with my wife better, my kids better, my colleagues better, and everybody around me, okay? So watch this. I wrote this one down too. Our goal is that, right, not only you can apply this to sales, but again, personal relationships, so that every relationship in your life runs more smoothly if we're willing to learn how someone else needs to be communicated with. Now, the National Association of Realtors came out with a pretty interesting statistic, and it says for the average agent will go on 4 appointments and only get 1 contract signed. 4 appointments and only get 1 contract signed. So 1 out of 4 is 25%. Is that a coincidence? I don't think so. And if you think about it, honestly, guys, it makes sense. Why? Because most agents lack versatility. If we're just going into appointments, like Jeff said, we're just reading off of a script or we're just following a script, and we do not understand versatility, we're going to miss out on opportunities. Now watch this. Because most agents lack versatility, they are only ever communicating and winning the people with who their style is or people that are like them. This was me early on. So if we want to increase our conversion ratio, which I believe everybody does, that's why you're here. Because if we want to set more appointments and take more listings and work with more buyers, I believe that's why everybody's here, then watch this. I want you to write this down. We must master what it means to communicate with different personality styles. We must master what it means to communicate with different personality styles, okay? And I say this all the time in our prospecting boot camp, and if you've ever been to one of my breakouts or heard me on a webinar with Jeff, I always say this, okay? People do not choose you as an agent based on the company that you work with, although that may add to it, or however many sales you have, although that may add to it. People hire you based on how you make them feel. People hire you based on how you make them feel. And they care about, right, whether or not you are like them and make them feel good. So how do we do that? Well, we have to speak their language. Okay, so now what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to break down the 4 personality styles. Jeff, I think you've written some things down behind you. So if you guys now want to go back to the 4 quadrants on your notes.
Page 5. Yep.
5, okay. You want to pull that out, okay. We're going to go ahead and give you guys now the 4 personality styles, okay. The 4 personality styles. And this right here, guys, is a game changer. I'm telling you right now. And we're going to give it to you guys in such a way that you'll be able to identify what the different 4 personality styles are with characteristics and traits and strengths and challenges that they have. And we're also going to give you guys some tips that you'll be able to identify if you don't already know what your personality style is, And we're going to give you guys some ways to be successful here in real estate from your personality perspective. So Jeff, did you want me to start by sharing the 4 and then?
Yeah, let's roll with it.
Yep. All right, great. So number 1, guys, is what we call the driver. Now, we use the DISC assessment, and we don't use driver meaning D, even though it's the same, but driver is obviously the D, right? And so if you look at a driver, there's some strengths that drivers have. And for those of you guys that are on here, I want you to identify which one you are based on me sharing these 4. And I'd love to hear which one you guys are, so you guys can put it in the chat.
And the driver, the characteristics that he's about to share, you should write those down in the top left-hand box. Write those down in the top left-hand box. When we're all said and done, it's going to look like this. The D and I is on the top, and then the C and the S is on the bottom. So D, I, S, C. So write it just like that. Leave yourself some room. Don't write the big D like I did, because you're going to want to write the characteristics in. But know that the top left-hand box is the high D, and Justin's going to share those now.
Yep. So guys, the strengths of a driver are as follows. Drivers are determined. Okay. Drivers are very determined. Drivers are very objective. Okay. Drivers are very independent. Drivers are very persistent. Okay. I'll repeat these again. Drivers are strong-willed. Okay. Got some strong-willed children. You might have a couple of drivers running around. Okay. Drivers are efficient. Drivers make decisions quickly. Drivers love and value action. And drivers are very bottom line oriented. Okay, I'm going to repeat these. Drivers' strengths are they're determined, they're objective, they are independent, they are persistent, they are strong-willed, they are efficient, they make decisions quickly, drivers love and value action, and drivers are very bottom line oriented. Okay, so you guys should have those strengths written down in that top left quadrant. Okay, now let's talk about some of the challenges that drivers have. Okay, and here's what's awesome about this, guys. When you begin to identify what these are, you can kind of like, a lot of times when you maybe look at some character flaws or whatever that you think are personality flaws, these are just how you're wired. Now, obviously you can work on them, but this gives you a better understanding and an idea of maybe, some things that you've struggled with, or people have struggled, with being in relationship with you. Challenges of a driver are naturally they come off insensitive. Okay, naturally they come off insensitive. They come off dominating. Okay, drivers come off dominating. That's a challenge that they have. They also are rushed and impatient. Drivers can appear aloof or arrogant even if they aren't. They can appear aloof or arrogant even if they aren't. Drivers can seem confrontational. Okay, this is a challenge that drivers have, that they are confrontational. Drivers are money motivated. Okay, now watch this. Drivers have trouble with versatility. Drivers have trouble and struggle with versatility. And honestly, drivers and analyticals have the biggest challenge. And we'll talk about analyticals in a moment. And one of the challenges also that drivers can have is they move too fast, which can lead to carelessness. Okay? Again, challenges are they're insensitive, dominating, rushed and impatient, can appear aloof or arrogant even when they aren't, confrontational, money motivated, have trouble with versatility, and can move too fast, which can lead to carelessness. Okay, carelessness. Now, I want to give you guys some notes, because everybody on this call, those that are, well, let me say this. If you guys think you're a driver based on what I just read, drop a 777 in the chat. Like if you think you're a driver based on what I just read, drop a 777 in the chat. Okay, we got a lot of drivers. Okay, we got a lot of drivers. That's awesome. So watch this. For somebody put 888.
That's a high I that thinks they're a driver.
Yeah, right. So guys, for those of you that are not drivers, okay, so you did not put anything in the chat. I want to give you guys some notes on how to work with drivers, and also for you drivers to be able to know how to work with other drivers. Okay, This is important, guys. Now watch this. When dealing with a driver, it's important to recognize that they don't like a lot of chit chat or lengthy discussions. When dealing with a driver, it's important to recognize that they don't like a lot of chit chat or lengthy discussions. They like to get to the point quickly. So when you hear someone say, all right, what's the bottom line? Okay. What do you want to list my home for? What's the commission? What am I walking away with? Okay. A lot of times, guys, let's just get to it. Let's get to the bottom line. Guys, that's a driver. Okay. They want to maintain control and ultimately get information quickly so that they can make a decision. Okay. They can make a decision. So we want to watch this, write this down. We want to help let them stay in control. If you've identified that you're meeting with, talking to, or working with a driver, we want to let them stay in control. But watch this. We also want to ask them questions. We want to make sure that we're asking questions. How do we do this? We give them some control. Okay, we want to give them the control and then ultimately ask them questions, which gets them back on track. Okay, and I always say this, you've heard me say it before. If you haven't, I'll say it today. Selling is not telling, selling is asking questions. Okay, we are selling when we're asking questions, not when we're telling the world how great we are. We're asking questions. So we want to ask questions to get them back on track. Okay, and that side note, if you're prospecting or you're making calls and you find yourself getting off track, if you're in a conversation that's just getting off track, ask a question, bring it back in control and bring it back on track. Okay, so when dealing with a driver, watch this, they will respect someone who is direct and someone who likes to stay on track. So we have to let them take control. We have to let them take control. So these are ways, guys, that we can identify how to work with the driver. Jeff, did you have anything on that?
No, I mean, the characteristics. I mean, at the end of the day, as you're writing these down, they all have pluses and minuses, and a minus doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. Right. And also, a lot of the language Justin used was, hey, can appear aloof. Well, maybe they are aloof, but not everyone is. They just might appear that way. So it's important to understand that where you might feel like, man, this guy's kind of a jerk or this gal's kind of a jerk, that's not their intention. That's just how you're feeling based on how they're responding, because chances are you are an opposite personality style, which of course, once we go through all four, you'll be able to see the stark differences between all of them.
Yep, absolutely. Now watch this. Here's another way, guys, that you can identify who is a driver. I'm going to give you guys some common careers of drivers. Common careers of drivers are managers, executives, CEOs, most small business owners, law enforcement, attorneys, athletes, and independent contractors, and a lot of real estate agents. I'll repeat that again, okay? Common careers are managers, executives, CEOs, most small business owners, law enforcement, attorneys, athletes, independent contractors, and a lot of real estate agents are drivers. Okay. Now, if you are a driver, which a lot of you guys are, I'm going to give you guys some tips on how you can succeed in real estate as a driver. You're going to want to write these down, guys, because if you did not know any of this up until today, this right here, I'm telling you, is going to be a game changer for you. If you're a driver, okay, if you're a driver, to succeed in real estate as a driver, you need to slow down. Okay. We need to slow down. Not only do we need to slow down, we have to have empathy and we have to have patience. Okay. We have to slow down. We have to have empathy and we have to have patience. Now, here's the thing about versatility, guys. This is something that's going to have to be learned. You don't naturally show up, if you're a driver, to slow down, have empathy, and have patience. It's going to take some work. And guys, for a while, it might be uncomfortable because you're going against what you naturally are. And so you're technically coming out of your comfort zone. So you have to show empathy. This is very important because, again, if people are hiring you based on how you make them feel, if they feel like you don't care, you've already lost them. So we have to learn how to be concerned for somebody else. And we need to ask more questions to get to know someone on a deeper level. Even though you want to get to the bottom line, even though you want to go in and, you want to get that contract signed in 10 minutes, Sometimes it doesn't work that way. We need to ask more questions to get to know someone on a deeper level. Now watch this, drivers. Do me one like this. Put your hands like this and go like this. We need to turn up the warm and fuzzy. So go ahead and turn that warm and fuzzy up right there, okay? Because you're going to have to do that, okay? You're going to have to do that if you're a driver. I know that's not how you naturally are, but again, we're learning versatility today, and this will help you with your business, okay? Now, we're going to move over to the I, Jeff, if you want to show them the quadrant again there.
Yeah, so the I should be written the top right hand. If you're
Yep.
following along on the quadrants in your workbook, which we've thrown that in the chat a few times, the I
Yep.
is going to go on the right hand side. And one of the reasons why it's going on the top, which I'll cover the perimeter words that I have here, is because they both, the D and the I, both share something in common. And that is that everything they do happens at a faster pace. They make decisions quicker, they talk faster, they move faster. Everything they do happens at a faster pace. And that's what those two have in common. So if you wrote the D and all the traits on the left-hand side at the top, you're now moving over to the right-hand side. You're going to put an I and you're going to put the traits in there.
Yep. Mindy just asked a great question, Jeff. She said, if you're a D and you're a driver, do you try to go deeper and get to know a driver on a deeper level? I would say no.
No,
Okay.
the answer is no. No, you want to, because
Yeah.
they're not interested in that. They want the bottom line. They want everything direct and to the point.
Yep. This is only if you're working with other non-drivers. So although you can identify these things and be able to relate to another driver, a driver wants to be just like you, get to the point, get to the bottom line, you know, turn down the warm and fuzzies with another
That's right.
driver, but anybody else, you definitely want to implement those things. All right. So now we're going to
All right,
talk.
let's go into the I's. Yep.
Yep, we're going into the I, guys, and the I stands for expressive. The I stands for expressive. Now I'm going to give you guys some strengths here for the expressives. Number one is expressives are persistent. My son, my 8-year-old son is 100% an expressive. This kid is more persistent than anybody I know, I swear. Next, they're strong-willed. Okay. Expressives are outgoing. Expressives are spontaneous. Expressives are exciting. Like Jeff just said, expressives are fast decision makers.
Mm-hmm.
And expressives are natural salespeople, the most natural salespeople by far. Okay. Expressives have the easiest time succeeding in sales, but have the hardest time succeeding at a high level. And we're going to talk about that in a moment. And expressives are very relatable. I'll say it again. The strengths of an expressive, they're persistent, strong-willed, outgoing, spontaneous, exciting, fast decision makers, the most natural salesperson by far. They have the easiest time succeeding in sales, Stacy, and they have the hardest time succeeding at a high level. Okay. And
Justin, let me add one more that's going to help everyone remember the I. They're also very influential. Of the four, they are more influential naturally than the rest. They're extremely influential, and that might help you remember, okay, how to remember I is for expressive, because expressive starts with an E. Well, just remember I is influential, and then remember all of the traits that go under influential that we just shared.
Yep. Absolutely, guys. And so this helps you to understand what the strengths are of a expressive. Now, let's talk about the challenges that expressives have. Expressives are very gregarious, meaning they're outspoken. Okay. Expressives need applause or validation or recognition, like, hey, look at me. Sometimes expressives are too opinionated. They can come off being manipulating because they are naturally salespeople. So it may seem like they're being manipulating, but they're not. Well, they could be, but again, it might seem like they are based on just their natural sales skills. Also, another one for expressives are they have very extreme emotions, meaning very high highs and very low lows, and there's really no in between with an expressive. Mm-hmm. Expressives are always usually late. Expressives usually have lack of focus and can also fear rejection. Okay, also fear rejection, and so again, I'll repeat these, but they're very gregarious, meaning they're outspoken. They need applause or validation or recognition, like, hey, look at me. Sometimes too opinionated, They can come off being manipulating. They have very extreme emotions, high highs or low lows, no in-betweens, and usually are always late. And expressives have lack of focus and can also fear rejection. For those of you guys that think you are an expressive, drop a 777 in the chat, okay? I know that I have a lot of 7-7. Someone just put like 1,000 sevens. Yeah, definitely, okay? So now I want to give you guys some notes on expressive. So for those of you guys that did not put a 777 in the chat, okay, we got a lot of expressives in here, okay? For those of you guys that are not expressives, okay, so that means you're, one of the other three, I want to share with you now how you can connect and win with expressives, okay? Now, this is how you know. This is how you can really, it can help you really understand and know. Expressives are typically involved with multiple things at one time and seem to enjoy living life on the edge. You'll notice that expressives speak to you based on personal emotions and feelings and personal experiences versus facts. I'll say that again. Expressives usually speak to you based on personal emotions and feelings and personal experiences versus facts. They make their decisions and have conversations based on things that have happened versus facts. You'll notice that they are very animated in their style of clothing, their style of home, and their style of communication. So if you've identified that, you know what, I'm talking to an expressive or I'm, meeting with an expressive, here's how you win with them. Compliment them on their style, whether it's their house, their car, their clothing, whatever it is. You compliment them on their style and you'll become their best friend. Remember, these ones like the limelight. So we have to play into that a bit. The quickest way to win over an expressive is to keep them talking. And guys, how do we keep people talking? We ask more questions, okay? So what you want to do with an expressive is you want to be excited when interacting with them, such as, hey, tell me more about that. Okay, tell me more about that. Okay, now the most common careers for expressives are all types of sales, okay, customer service or communications, the hospitality industry, such as hotels, restaurants, retail, flight attendants, recruiters, team leaders, buyer's agents, and showing agents, okay? When you see these types of careers, a lot of times these are expressives. Now, if you're an expressive, okay, then what I want to do, guys, is give you some ways to succeed with the other three, okay? So if you're an expressive, this is for you. If you're an expressive, how do we win in real estate? These are the fastest to succeed because they have the most, like Jeff said, natural talent available or are naturally the most influential. If the expressives can master time management and focus sticking to one thing, they can succeed at a very high level. Expressives value having a lot going on at one time. They like this because if it's not this way, it's boring. And I remember, Jeff, when I came to you one time after, being with you 6 months or so or a year, and just getting so bored with the mundane of prospecting and doing the same thing over and over and over. And then Jeff introduced me to repetitious boredom, right? Because I'm like, man, this stinks. I need to go find a new career because I was bored, right? And so watch this. Excitement is having a lot going on at once for an expressive, but the reality is this. You can have a lot going on at once, but you'll never master anything. Okay, so I want you expressives to hear that, because for those of you guys that guess, yes, I'm a 99 expressive. I'm as high as you can get as an expressive, but I've had to learn not only how to be more versatile, but to learn where my own challenges are as an expressive. And Jeff has helped me with that quite a bit to where I can learn better time management. Still working on that one. I haven't mastered that one yet, Jeff. And also really learning how to stick to one thing, okay? And so for those of you,
the knob example that you gave, you have to tone it down, right? Remember before on the D, hey, we got to turn up the warm and fuzzy. The expressive has to tone down the warm and fuzzy, tone
Yep.
down the energy and enthusiasm. I
Yep.
tell high eyes all the time, if you're going on a listing appointment and you're meeting with a C, a high C, an analytical, which we're going to get to, we recommend that you do your listing presentation just sitting on your hands.
Yep.
Or if you're an off the charts high eye, sometimes it's better just, do your listing presentation, just kind of lay down on the couch, take all the energy and enthusiasm out, just do it from their couch, because you have to learn to tone it down. And I know tone it down is like a cuss word to my high eyes, but you have to learn to do that when you're meeting with people that aren't like you.
Super important, guys, because you'll lose a C every time if you're going in there all expressive and stuff. Okay. Next one is the amiable. Jeff, do you want to show them where that's at?
Yeah. So the amiable is going to be located where we go in this order, D, I, S. So now we're bottom right. Bottom right, you're going to go ahead and write an S. Again, don't write it as big as me in your workbook there. Again, you should all have your workbook and are following along. Write it smaller so you can leave room for all these traits. Take it away with the high S. And by the way, a good way to remember the amiable, the S stands for supportive. So if you want to go ahead and write down that right now is the first trait. That's a very supportive type of trait. So go ahead, Justin.
Yep. The amiable personality style strengths are amiables are agreeable, friendly. Okay. Agreeable, friendly, great listeners. They value harmony.
Very much so.
Yep. They value harmony. They're very warm personality. Amiables are team players. Amiables are selfless, and amiables are giving. Okay. Agreeable, friendly, great listeners, value harmony, very warm personality, team player, selfless, giving, and supportive, like Jeff said. Now, the challenges of an amiable are amiables seek acceptance too much, meaning they have a very high need for approval. Okay. Amiables really do everything they can to avoid conflict. They're slow in taking action, like Jeff said. They are slow to make decisions because, watch this. This is why, because generally they are indecisive, because if they have to make decisions, somebody is going to get upset or they're going to let somebody down. That's very important to an amiable, okay? Also, they're very soft-spoken and indecisive, okay? Again, amiables seek acceptance too much and need for approval too much. They avoid conflict at all costs. They're slow in taking action, slow to make decisions because generally they are indecisive, because if they have to make decisions, someone is going to be upset. They're very soft-spoken, they're very indecisive, and they hate rejection and have the hardest time with rejection. And then lastly, can lack ambition because they love living in the box of their comfort zone. Okay. Now, let me give you some notes on amiable. So if you're not an amiable, okay, well, let me say this. If you're an amiable, based on what I just said, drop a 777 in the chat. Okay.
Amiables, let's see it. Don't be shy. We want to see amiable 777.
Love it. A lot of amiables on here. That's great. Yep. So watch this. So if you're not an amiable, this is how you'll know how to work with an amiable. When working with an amiable, they have a very high need for approval and harmony. So when dealing with this personality style, refer to the fact that you want the next person you talk to feel as good about the home as they feel. This will make them feel as comfortable as possible. And they like hearing the term home versus property. I want to list your property. No, I want to help you sell your home. You want to use the word home with an amiable. Okay. Now, common professions of an amiable: teachers, nurses, support staff in any line of work, nonprofits, counselors, therapists, administrative roles, and assistants. Okay. Those are common professions of an amiable. Now, if you're an amiable, which a lot of you are, this is how you succeed in real estate. The amiables have the highest chance of succeeding in real estate, okay, if, with capital letters, if they get over their fear of rejection. Now, nobody naturally likes rejection, okay? So we're not saying that some like it and some don't, but amiables really have a fear of rejection. The reason being, they already come born with the highest level of versatility. This is why amiables have the highest chance of succeeding, because they already come born with the highest level of versatility. So watch this. So amiables can make calls and go on appointments and have a higher closing ratio because they already let the driver have control. They already let the expressive talk. They have versatility naturally built in. However, watch this. This is, I mean, all of you amiables, I want you to put stars around this and circle this, okay? If you're an amiable and you're not putting yourself in enough situations to face rejection where someone could say no to you, you won't succeed at a high level. Now watch this. We have a Gloverism that we share with you guys, right? The more rejection I get, the more money that I make, okay? Very important. The more rejection that I get, the more money that I make, okay? So if you're an amiable, you have to, again, all of us have to come out of our comfort zones to learn this stuff, guys, okay? And the last one is the analytical, okay? Here's the analytical.
Hold on. There's just one thing I want you to write. For those of
Jeff.
you that are writing in your workbook, I want you to write the word feel on the right-hand side. Feel. That's what the I and the S have in common. They make decisions and they speak based on their feelings. They decide who they're going to hire based on their feelings. They talk based on their feelings. So the high I and the high S have that both in common. So just go ahead and write feel on the right-hand side there. And then,
Yep.
yes, let's get to the last one, the high
Yep.
C, which is going to be the bottom left-hand corner of your workbook there.
Yep. So now we're going to move into the C, guys, which stands for analytical. So if you're analytical, okay, here are some of the strengths of analyticals. Number one is they're very logical and fact-based. Analyticals are very dependable. Analyticals are punctual, meaning if you have an appointment with an analytical at 12 o'clock and you show up at 12 o'clock, you're late, okay? You want to show up at least 5 minutes or so early. On time, again, is late to an analytical. Analyticals are very organized and precise, and analyticals are very systematic and perfectionists, okay? Those are their strengths. Now, the challenges that analyticals have is analyticals overanalyze things. We call it analysis paralysis, okay? Analyticals avoid confrontation. They have a dry sense of humor, but watch this. They can be very chatty only if they're talking about something they're passionate about, okay? When they know a topic inside and out, and when they have mastered a topic, they like to go on about it, okay? Also, analyticals are indecisive because they need more information. You can never have enough information prepared for an analytical to make a decision. And watch this, analyticals are very low on emotion, but analyticals are very adverse to change. They don't like change, and they also have a lot of trouble with versatility, okay? Now, how many of you guys are analyticals? Drop a 7. Well, that's kind of expressive. Just drop 1 7.
Yeah, no, for an analytical, drop a 7.7. Let's get specific.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. Yeah. And so now watch this though. Okay. For all of my analyticals, if you're not an analytical, okay, if you're not an analytical, this is how you want to relate to an analytical or present to an analytical. When presenting or meeting with or working with analyticals, it's important that you give them, watch this, and you can write this down in big, bold capital letters, all the information up front. They want all the information up front. And you don't want to push them to make a decision because they will 100% respond with withdrawal. So if you're a driver and you're trying to get them to sign the contract and they're not ready, you'll lose them, okay? This is the one trait of the 4 that when they say they want to think about it, that they really do want to think about it. So don't try to convince them, well, okay, let's think out loud, right? Let's make a decision now. No, you let them think about it. When the others say they want to think about it, it's just a smokescreen objection that we need to overcome. But with an analytical, they really, truly want to think about it. And they really, really, want to take that time. So do not push them. If you become too pushy with them, you'll turn them off. Now, I'm sure you guys have already guessed it. Common professions of an analytical are our engineers, right? Our CPAs, our computer workers, our pilots, our doctors, and our lawyers, okay? You don't want expressives flying airplanes, do you, Jeff?
No.
We want our analyticals in there. And then lastly, how do you succeed if you're an analytical? So if you're an analytical, this is how you succeed in real estate. Ready? The analyticals take the longest to succeed, and sometimes, watch this, never succeed unless they get out of their own way. Unless they get out of their own way. If they can figure out how to get out of their own way, watch this, they actually have, out of the 4, the best chance of succeeding number one chance of succeeding at a high level because they take so much time to master things. The problem is if they don't take time to get into action, they can lose motivation and not get excited about what they're doing. So if you can overcome the need to have all the answers first to take action, then analyticals will be able to succeed at a super high level. Okay. Now, I know this was a lot of information, guys, tons of information. And I know you guys probably took a lot of notes, but if you guys missed some things, right, I think, Jeff, they're going to get the recording of today's.
Yeah, we're going to get the recording out to everybody. And I know that you cover a lot of this in your prospecting boot camp, which we'll get to in just a second. But I do want to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I want everyone to write down 6 words or phrases somewhere in your workbook, because Justin, as you know, people are going to say, well, how do I adjust? What do I adjust? And I know you cover this in your prospecting boot camp, but I want to just real quick, and I'm not even going to, we're not going to go through explanations, but if I'm watching these, if I'm listening and learning these 4, and I'm thinking about what do I need to adjust in order to adapt? You need to adjust I wrote down your volume, the level in which you speak, right? Who do you think wants a higher volume? The top half, lower volume, bottom half, which by the way, I put slow down here. I put think on the left-hand side. If you were following along, think on the left, slow on the bottom. The next thing, your rate of speech, you're talking faster up here. You're slowing down your rate of speech down here. If I'm a high D and I go present to an Amiable or an Analytical, I need to slow down my rate of speech. Otherwise, they're going to think I'm just a fast talking salesperson. Yep. By the way, contrary to that, if I'm a high C or a high S and I go on an appointment and just present like my normal, maybe methodical, careful, super prepared way in a very, very kind of monotone rate of speech a monotone dialogue and a really basic rate of speech, they're going to think I'm slow and not successful. And I don't know what I'm doing, even though I might have, I might be the best in the business, right? You have to be able to adjust your rate of speech. What about your tonality? What about your body language, right? How do you carry yourself? Your energy and your enthusiasm. How are you adjusting your energy and your enthusiasm? Are you toning it down? Are you toning it up? And then I wrote down emojis and punctuation. Somebody asked, well, how do you tell it in emails? Well, are you using 17 exclamation points in your emails? Chances are you're probably a high I. If you're dealing with a high I, maybe you're going to use the same ones. The person you're communicating with, are they using a lot of emojis? Maybe you should consider using a lot of emojis back. Are you using too many emojis and they're not using emojis at all? You're probably turning them off if you are. So those are the things that I want everyone to pay attention to. And Justin, I know in your prospecting bootcamp, you spend an entire session on this and you give ideas for versatility and language and so forth. But I know we have a lot of people on that are thinking, okay, how do I apply this to my prospecting calls? How do I apply this to my conversion with leads, with buyers, with leads, with sellers, and really be mindful of this? So can you share with us a little bit about your program, please?
Yeah, absolutely, guys. The prospecting bootcamp that I lead is a 16-week class where we literally roll up our sleeves. And just like today, we go on Zoom every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern for about 45 to 60 minutes, guys. And I take you through the A to Z's, not only of the communication style, but everything that you need to know on how to prospect, take more listings, and really create a system that you can follow that 100% works. And you can flip to page 16 as I'm talking.
Yeah, 16 in your workbook, and it's on your screen as well for those that don't have a workbook.
Yep. But this right here, guys, this strategy of the communication styles and really understanding and learning these 4 personality styles for someone like me, who is a high I, who's a high expressive, I was losing listings because I didn't understand this information. And so obviously we kind of breezed through it today in an hour. But guys, for 16 weeks as a group in a community, we work every single week to implement things that will help you not only learn how to take more listings, but to set more appointments, right? How to identify when you're on the phone with somebody, what their personality style is. We're going to give you the scripts, the objection handlers. We're going to role play together. We're going to write out the scripts. And the amazing thing about this 16-week course is, guys, everything that I have done and do to sell 100 plus homes a year, I'm literally opening up my entire playbook and giving it to you because it's exactly what Jeff gave to me when I joined his team. And so we've created this course to help each one of you guys be able to go out and sell more homes, take more listings. You know, we're going to give, I mean, this one here alone, okay? We're going to give you the 25 sources of business that Jeff and his team use to sell 1,000 homes a year. That course right there alone, game changer, guys. And the great thing is, guys, the investment for this class is only $299 a month for 4 months. So really a $1,200 investment. And what I always ask everybody is, how many listings would I have to help you to take in order to pay for this course? The amazing thing is, guys, you take one listing and sell one home. This will probably, you know, more than quadruple, if not more, the investment. And here's what I will say: I've been teaching this now for 2 years, almost 3. Every single agent that has gone through this course and applied what I teach sells more homes. Andrew Pepper, I don't know if you're on here, but he shared this back at when we were in Orlando last month at the Glover U Summit. Andrew said, I hated prospecting. I hated talking to people, didn't want anything to do with it, but I knew if I was going to grow, I had to get into an uncomfortable situation, join the boot camp. And guys, he took 19 listings during the last boot camp. And he said it himself, it changed and transformed his life. So if you guys want more information about the boot camp, we're starting it at the end of the month. You can text the word prospecting to 55444, and you will get the information on the boot camp, guys. I'm personally going to be teaching the class. You'll have direct access to me. We're going to put you into a private Facebook group for our prospecting boot camp. And guys, this course will change your life, I promise.
What's super cool about what Justin does also, because he's obviously on the ground, that's a big thing for us. We require all of our coaches to be on the ground and in production, is in his private Facebook group. He'll go live from time to time and say, hey, we're doing a prospecting session right now. Come get into the group, come join me. And we're not talking about the Glover U Inner Circle. We're talking about the group specific for the prospecting boot campers. This is also for Justin. I know a lot of people that, you know, hiring their first ISA, or maybe they're not cut out for the phones, or they don't enjoy the phones. They want nothing to do with them. And they're just kind of going to throw their hands up and say, hey, I don't want to master the phones, even though I know a lot of people should. And you and I would say that they should. This is something that you could put your inside sales associate through, or if you have a prospector or somebody making calls for you, this is the training. Let us do the heavy lifting for you. Now, Justin and I would both say you should master it yourself first. So that way you only have to take it once, and then you can teach it for years to come. But ultimately, if you want to use us to be your training resource, go ahead and do it. I mean, we have, again, agents on from Coldwell Banker, from Century 21, from Remax, from Keller Williams, from EXP, from Real, from Independence. Everyone's on from different situations. I mean, we have a lot of teams that put all of their listing agents through this. It is very complex 16-week, and it's 16 weeks, 45 minutes of live instruction, but also you save 10 to 15 minutes at the end for Q&A and discussion. Is that right, Justin?
Absolutely, guys. And there's a lot of dialogue. I mean, this is not just me speaking from a screen. I mean, we're doing Q&A, we're doing interaction, and then we're role playing, right? We're interacting in the group during the week. We're, you know, communicating with each other. We're answering questions. We're teaching objection handlers throughout the week. I mean, it's very hands-on. And for those of you guys that are looking for something where you're a part of a community, a group to learn this, I mean, this is it.
Yeah. And, you know, this isn't something like, hey, we wrote this program 5 years ago and Justin's just been teaching it as it was written 5 years ago. Remember, that's the difference between Glover U and all the rest out there. Our coaches are on the ground. We're on the ground with you. So we know when something in the industry is changing. Justin and I were having a conversation. Our scripts were last updated in 2020. Well, gosh, it's been 2 years. It's probably time for us to take another look at them. But here's the thing. They were updated in 2020. How many programs and coaching companies or brokerages are still using scripts from the 90s or the early 2000s? You have to update them because it's based on what's happening in the economy, what's happening in the industry. And Justin shares everything that's working for him and working for us right now. So yes, we had a few people ask down in the chat. You text the word prospecting to 55444. That's the same phone number that you texted for the morning message. For those that missed it, if you text the word morning to 55444, that signs you up for the morning message. That's absolutely free. If you want to learn about the program, it's not a commitment. You'll get a chance to review more about the program and get a chance to review the agreement. Just text the word prospecting to 55444. And other than that, we're here each and every Monday and Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern time. I'm excited because on Wednesday, for the first time ever, we're digging into neuro-linguistic programming. We've been doing it, Justin, as you know, we've been doing it with JGA for years. We're going to now take that and share it with the public, and we'll be talking about that on Wednesday, this Wednesday, gloveru.com/webinar to sign up for that. Justin, thanks so much for your time. Hopefully everyone got a ton of value from today. We look forward to seeing you on Wednesday and for sure in Justin's prospecting boot camp. Let's make it a great rest of the week. See you guys.
You guys.